Emma Carter was a social media darling. She had a magnetic presence that drew people in, making them feel like they were part of her world. Her infectious laugh and bubbly personality drew millions to her online world. Emma's energy was contagious, and her followers couldn't get enough of her. She shared glimpses of her life fashion hauls, travel vlogs, and makeup tutorials. Each post was a window into her seemingly perfect life, filled with glamour and excitement. Her feed was a carefully curated tapestry of happiness and aspiration. Every photo, every video was meticulously planned to portray an ideal life that many aspired to. Emma was living the dream, or so it seemed. To her followers, she was the epitome of success and joy. Behind the perfectly filtered photos and witty captions, a darker reality was brewing. The pressure to maintain this facade was immense, and it was taking a toll on Emma. Emma's best friend, Daniel Brooks, was the man behind the lens, capturing her every move. He was always there, ensuring that every shot was perfect. He was her biggest supporter, always there to offer encouragement and praise. Daniel's presence was a constant in Emma's life, providing her with the support she needed. He managed her accounts, responded to comments, and even accompanied her on trips. Daniel was more than just a friend. He was an integral part of her brand. Daniel was deeply embedded in Emma's online persona. He knew her brand inside out and was instrumental in crafting her online image. What started as friendship had morphed into something more sinister. Daniel was obsessed. His admiration for Emma had turned into an unhealthy fixation. He craved Emma's attention, her validation, her love. His feelings went beyond friendship, and he wanted more than just to be her confidant. He saw her success as his own, her achievements a reflection of his devotion. Daniel believed that without him, Emma wouldn't have reached the heights she had. He couldn't bear the thought of her having a life outside of their online bubble. The idea of Emma forming new relationships or finding new supporters was unbearable to him. Emma, oblivious to the danger lurking beneath the surface, continued to share her life online. She trusted Daniel implicitly. To her, he was a friend who had her best interests at heart. He was her confidant, her rock. Whenever she felt overwhelmed by the pressures of her online persona, Daniel was there to comfort her. She had no idea that her trust was dangerously misplaced. Emma's world was about to be turned upside down, and she was completely unaware of the storm brewing just beneath the surface. As Emma's follower count continued to grow, so did Daniel's obsession. The more successful she became, the more he felt entitled to her time and attention. Despite her online fame, Emma often felt isolated. The more she shared with her followers, the more she felt disconnected from her real-life relationships. She began to question her choices, wondering if the life she portrayed online was worth the sacrifices she was making. The pressure to maintain her image was becoming overwhelming. Meanwhile, Daniel's obsession was growing. His intentions were becoming clearer, and his actions more controlling. Emma was too caught up in her online world to notice the danger she was in. As her life began to spiral out of control, Emma started to realize the truth. The perfect life she had built online was a fragile facade, and the person she trusted the most was the one pulling the strings. Determined to take control of her life, Emma decided to break free from the toxic relationship. She found strength within herself to confront the reality she had been avoiding. Emma began to rebuild her life, focusing on finding true happiness and living authentically. She realized that her worth wasn't defined by her online presence, but by the person she truly was. Surrounded by genuine friends and supportive relationships, Emma thrived in her new life. She learned to balance her online persona with her real self, finding peace and fulfillment in the process. Emma's journey became an inspiration to others. She shared her story, empowering others to seek authenticity and prioritize their well-being over the pressures of social media. With a newfound confidence, Emma embraced her true self. She was no longer just a social media darling. She was a woman living her best life, on her own terms. Daniel's obsession with Emma was all-consuming. It started innocently enough, with him simply wanting to stay connected and be a part of her life. But soon, it became much more than that. He spent hours monitoring her social media accounts, often late into the night when he should have been sleeping. The glow of his phone screen was a constant companion, illuminating his face in the dark. Meticulously analyzing every like, comment, and direct message, he became a detective in his own mind. Each notification was a clue, each interaction a piece of a puzzle he was determined to solve. He grew increasingly jealous of her online interactions, convinced that everyone was trying to steal her away from him. The more he watched, the more his jealousy festered, turning into a toxic brew of suspicion and insecurity. His possessiveness began to surface in subtle ways. At first, it was just a comment here and there, a casual remark about her friends or her plans. But soon, he would make snide remarks about her male followers, accusing them of having ulterior motives. His words were laced with bitterness, each accusation a dagger aimed at her trust. He would insist on accompanying her to events, even when she expressed a desire to go alone. His presence was a shadow that loomed over her, a constant reminder of his need to control. He would bombard her with messages when she was offline, demanding to know her whereabouts and who she was with. Each unanswered text was a trigger, each moment of silence a cause for alarm. Emma, initially dismissing his behavior as overprotective, started to feel suffocated. The weight of his expectations pressed down on her, making it hard to breathe. Her once carefree demeanor began to shift. The joy that once defined her started to fade, replaced by a sense of dread that she couldn't shake. The sparkle in her eyes dimmed, replaced by a flicker of anxiety. She found herself constantly on edge, waiting for the next outburst, the next accusation. She started spending less time online, avoiding Daniel's calls and messages. The digital world that once connected them now felt like a trap, a web she was desperate to escape. She craved space, a chance to breathe and reclaim her life. The outdoors became her sanctuary, a place where she could find solace and clarity. But Daniel wasn't letting go that easily. His grip tightened, his determination to keep her close growing stronger with each passing day. He saw Emma's withdrawal as rejection, fuel for his growing paranoia. Every moment she spent away from him was a betrayal in his eyes, a sign that she was slipping through his fingers. He convinced himself that she was slipping away from him, that someone else was poisoning her against him. His mind raced with scenarios, each more twisted than the last. His obsession spiraled out of control, pushing him further down a dangerous path. The darkness of his room mirrored the darkness in his heart, a place where love had turned into something unrecognizable. Daniel's behavior escalated. He started hacking into Emma's accounts, reading her private messages and deleting comments he deemed inappropriate. He planted spyware on her phone, tracking her every move, every call, every text. He even installed hidden cameras in her apartment, wanting to be a constant, unseen presence in her life. Emma, unaware of the extent of Daniel's intrusion, felt a growing sense of unease. She couldn't shake off the feeling that she was being watched, her every move scrutinized. Her once vibrant online persona became a carefully constructed facade, hiding the fear and anxiety that gnawed at her. Friends noticed the change in Emma. She was withdrawn, jumpy, her usual cheerfulness replaced by a haunted look. When questioned, she brushed off their concerns, attributing her behavior to stress and exhaustion. She couldn't bring herself to expose Daniel, to shatter the illusion of their perfect friendship. The warning signs were there, flashing like neon signs, but everyone was too caught up in the curated perfection of Emma's online world to see the danger lurking beneath the surface. The stage was set for a tragedy. Emma's followers noticed the shift in her content. They had grown accustomed to her vibrant posts, filled with joy and positivity. Her feed was a source of inspiration for many, a window into a life that seemed perfect. But then, the once frequent posts became sporadic, almost disappearing altogether. The lively updates that used to flood her profile were now few and far between. The light-hearted captions, which once brimmed with Emma's unique voice and humor, were replaced with generic platitudes. It was as if someone else had taken over her account, stripping it of its soul. Her eyes, once sparkling with joy, now held a haunted, distant look. The change was subtle but unmistakable to those who knew her well. Comments poured in, expressing concern for her well-being. Friends and followers alike reached out, hoping to understand what was happening. But Daniel, ever the vigilant gatekeeper, swiftly deleted them. He was meticulous, ensuring that no trace of worry or doubt remained visible to the public. He crafted responses, mimicking Emma's voice with uncanny precision. Each message was designed to reassure her worried followers that everything was fine. "I'm just taking a break," the messages would say. "Everything is great, just focusing on some personal projects." The facade was maintained, but the cracks were beginning to show. He couldn't let anyone see the cracks in their perfect facade. The image of a happy, loving couple was too important to him. He couldn't bear the thought of anyone intruding on their world. The isolation was his way of maintaining control, of keeping Emma under his thumb. He isolated Emma further, cutting her off from her support system. Friends' calls went unanswered. Messages were left unread. Tightening his grip on her life, Daniel's controlling behavior became more pronounced. He monitored her every move, questioned her every decision. One night, after a particularly heated argument, the tension reached a breaking point. Emma felt trapped, suffocated by the constant scrutiny. Desperate for a lifeline, Emma confided in her sister Sarah. She poured out her heart, revealing the depth of her fear and despair. She confessed her fear of Daniel, his controlling behavior, the unsettling feeling of being watched. It was a relief to finally share her burden, but it also made the situation feel more real, more terrifying. The feeling of being constantly watched, of never having a moment of privacy, was overwhelming. Emma felt like a prisoner in her own life. Sarah, horrified by what she heard, urged her to go to the police. She begged Emma to sever all ties with Daniel, to escape before it was too late. But Emma hesitated. The thought of leaving Daniel, of upending her life, was daunting. She was torn between fear and loyalty, between the past and the uncertain future. She couldn't believe that Daniel, her best friend, her confidant, could ever hurt her. The memories of their good times together clouded her judgment. She clung to the hope that things would get better, that the man she fell in love with would return. She wanted to believe that this was just a rough patch, a phase that would pass. She hoped that he would realize the error of his ways, that he would change for the better. The thought of giving up on him was too painful to bear. It was a fatal miscalculation. The signs were there, the red flags waving frantically, but Emma chose to ignore them, hoping against hope that love would conquer all.